So you've just bought F1 Manager 23 and you're wanting to know the best way to upgrade your car. Now, there are some new things ready for F1 Manager 23 that I'm going to walk through in this video around upgrading, but I'm going to show you how I identify the parts of the car that I want to upgrade and how I move up the grid. It's also important to note that the cost cap really does seem to matter in this year's edition game. So I'm going to show you what I'm doing to try and mitigate that a little bit and really make sure I focus in on what needs to be done and make those upgrades even more powerful when they come along. I don't try and game the system or anything like that. I look at the data that I'm about to show you, and that's how I decide my upgrades. I don't go and get a really powerful underfloor if it's OP or anything like that. I just look at this data and I really try and enjoy the game the way it's intended. So without further ado, let's go to the car section and manage the build of car number 1. Now, this isn't too dissimilar, but I'll walk through it again for you guys if you're new to the series, but this was kind of the same in F1 Manager 22. Let's go to car analysis in the bottom corner here, and in here you can see all the data. I always like to go up to this corner and change it to rank on grid because it makes it really palatable and easy to understand. Now we have our Haas Kevin Magnussen car selected, and then we can select any other car on the grid. So let's have a look, let's say at Alpha Tauri. And we can see in general, we've got a better car than Alpha Tauri. So let's just get rid of those. We don't need to have a look. Let's have a look at Alpine, shall we? And we can see in some ways they're better than us. Top speed versus them, high speed, dirty air tolerance, and total extra weight. They beat us on all of those things. But how do we identify what to do? Well, we look in this analyze bar here. If you click there, you get this other drop-down menu. So we can go through each section of the car, identifying the differences. And we can already see on the chassis, we've got a lot more drag than they have. Airflow middle isn't as good, and the lifespan isn't as good. We'll talk about lifespan and durability in another video, I don't doubt. And then we can just go through and look at all the different bits. Our front wing, for example, is really good at Haas. The airflow sensitivity isn't great, but in general, we're beating them, so it's not an area for concern. We might choose the rear wing look with drag reduction. We know that that's an issue for us. And the side pods drag reduction as well. So just going off this, I think I'm going to look at a rear wing with drag reduction because we've got decent low speed and medium speed there, and also a chassis. So what we want to do is go over to car parts development, okay? And if we go and design, we can select the rear wing. Now, I am going to show you some specific F1 Manager 23 stuff later on in this video and how I'm going about designing my cars to make sure, I think anyway, that they are much more cost effective. But we will get up to that. Let's just, for the sake of this video, put half of our ATR on each of these items. So we've got, is this the rear wing? This is the rear wing that I'm doing currently, isn't it? We do 42, 42, and we're seeing an increase in things there. And we're getting, this is important, expertise of 3.45. Remember that number. And next, we are going to the design focus. Now, it's about the race performance for us, isn't it? Or high speed performance for us. So we're looking at, well, it's drag reduction, isn't it? We want to get rid of. So high speed performance we're looking at because we're already decent at the medium speeds and low speeds. So let's look at that, and we're gaining 10% of drag reduction bonus there. And then let's go to the development focus, and we're just going to put 5 engineers on and a normal approach for 1.4 million. So there we go. The rear wing is being made, and we also want a chassis is what we're going to look at. Then we'll bump those up, and drag reduction there is 2.78 reduction, and then we want that one. So we're getting 20.75 drag reduction if we do that. And we're also getting a 2.78 expertise and facilities there. So the attribute total is 20.75. 2.75, but 2.78 is the expertise, okay? And then we go to development out for $700,000. And there are our designs. Now, I've got the Bahrain Grand Prix to do, and I will be back after that. So here we are, we're back, and we've got the design complete for the chassis. Now, we're going to do a couple of things here, and I'm going to ask you to bear with me because I have a feeling my logic on this might be confusing, or some people might not agree with me. Now, this is something you as a manager in the game can completely disagree with, but this is how I've decided to approach a cash-strapped, cost-cap limited team maybe. So, we've got the design complete for the chassis, okay? And we can go to the development there, and we can manufacture our new chassis, and we can see that we are gaining 2 places on top speed and high speed, and that it will cost 2.2 million to make 4 of them. Okay, so we're going to gain 2 places on the grid, whether it's high speed or top speed. Now, in F1 Manager 22, it was very common to just go and build that immediately. Right now, go do it. We need those upgrades on the car. What I'm saying is that's $2.2 million. And we can go over to the design and research now. Design and look at chassis again. And we've got new ATR. So we'll put it halfway again, about there. And also about there, right? So we've gone halfway there. If we go to the design focus and go to race performance again, we're going for that drag reduction again there. But we can see that this would gain us a lot of places, okay? So previously we had a 1.72 expertise on the chassis, and we had a 20.75 gain, but now we're getting a 25% gain because of that expertise, okay? So what I'm basically saying here is it might be a good idea to, instead of just manufacture, design, manufacture, you could just design, manufacture, and iterate your designs multiple times before you actually go to manufacture, because in effect you're saving that money, because it's $2.2 million to make those 4, right? And it's only $700,000 to develop even further. So you can develop, what, 3 times? Something like that, for the price of 1 manufacture of all 4 chassis. So for the same amount of that, you could redesign this multiple times so that when you do implement this improvement, the improvement is huge when you do it, and you've ended up saving money because you've not manufactured at every step. So if you were, say, to do the chassis 3 times throughout a season and it was 2.2 million every time, you're spending 6.6 million just on manufacture. Whereas, for example, if it costs 700,000 to design, then you're spending 2.1 on design and then 2.2 on the manufacture. So in effect, what's that? That's 4.3 million. So you've saved 1.9, I think. Someone's going to correct me on all those maths I just did. But basically, instead of just manufacturing everything, you're going through it, making sure your design is on point. And this way, much like in real life, in my playthrough at least, you'll come to a point where, and mine happens to be Baku, where you've got 3 fairly mature designs that you're then going to take as an upgrade package, instead of a front wing here, a rear wing there, a chassis here, you know? And I hope this really makes sense for you guys, because I think it's a good way to make sure you're saving some cash that you can maybe put into facilities or staff or drivers, something like that. because initially at least it does seem like money is harder to come by in F1 Manager 23. If you've got any questions about this, please do let me know down below, and please do make sure you've hit that like button and subscribed to the channel, because I'm going to be coming out with more hints and tips videos on F1 Manager 23. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.